What's up, guys, and welcome to another Movie Importance Flashback Reviews, where I take movies from the past, break them down, and tell you what I think about them. If you like what you see, of course, hit the subscribe button, join Movie Emporium, hit the notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and of course, comment below on any video that you watch on my channel. So, this is not posting on Monday. I do apologize. I figured I wanted to post my weekly flashback review on Tuesday because it's October 1st, and that, of course, because of the Halloween season. And I love Halloween. I think it's a great season. You get a lot of cool things come out, during the month of October. A lot of good horror films. It's just a fun time. And a lot of people do 31 movies over the course of the month. I don't have time for that, unfortunately. I do have a job that keeps me busy. It's hard enough doing all these videos that I do as it is. But I do appreciate the people who do 31 movies in the month, because it's a lot of work that I just appreciate, and the fact that they're doing it is incredible. But I just don't have time. But I do like to do 4 movies, one for each week, talk about different horror films or Halloween movies and so on and so forth. And of course, I'm going to do a couple flashback anniversary reviews, because there's a couple good movies coming out in October, or at least that came out in October, a few years back. But with that said, let's go ahead and start with the first movie of the month for October. And that, of course, is a movie franchise that has a new movie coming out next year, which is pretty crazy. Had a movie that came out a couple years ago that was pretty terrible. It had 8 movies that came out in consecutive years from 2004 to 2010. And it was pretty crazy to see. This is a franchise that, on its first movie, I didn't really care for. Its second and third movie, I actually did enjoy. But after each viewing, I've come to grow and love this movie for the fact that it's very clever. It's actually a modern classic, and it does a lot of interesting stuff that I didn't really see until I watched it just recently. And that is something I'm going to talk about in a second. But of course, I haven't said the title, and that, of course, is Saw. Saw is a franchise that has probably 4 really good, decent movies, at least my perspective. The other movies are just more about violence and gore. The storyline gets muddled and weird and out of place. But like I said, Saw 1 through 4 has this unique structure to it, where you're getting these interesting stories that are intertwining with the storytelling and the timeline of the Jigsaw John Kramer story, that it really kind of becomes unique in what it's doing. Not even like Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th. I guess Halloween to a certain respect, until it got retconned like a couple years ago, does stuff like this, and it does it in a way that's horrifying, but has a really interesting, unique spin on the horror franchise. But with that said, we'll go back to the original Saw, which came out in 2004. I was working in a movie theater. I saw it in the theater. I didn't think it was that scary. I didn't think it was that gory, but that's not the whole point of the movie. The whole point of the movie is to make you really think about life in general, which is really crazy to think about. If you're thinking about horror films, they're supposed to scare you. And a lot of people did get scared by this movie, because there is some graphic stuff in this thing that will make you scream and, whatever. But it's a movie about time, which I also found very interesting. Everything that goes on in this movie is about time, and how it affects time, and how people are on a timer basically throughout their life. And when it counts down to 0, that's it. There's nothing there. And people take that for granted. And what John Kramer, or as we know as Jigsaw in this movie, is a character that is using time to kind of give people second chances. He uses traps, very violent traps, to, tell people that you can have a second chance. You have to give up what you did, and you have to pay the price for what you did to survive in a world that is very harsh, and you have created that harshness for it. And that's really fascinating. The fact that, we learned that John Kramer has a tumor. He's also dealing with time, and just time in its essence and its nature. And the fact that we're flashing back and flashing forward throughout the first movie, and of course, the sequels, and so on and so forth, is really, really fascinating. You don't get that in a lot of films. Yeah, you get time travel, and you get time essence, nick of time, stuff like that, where you have a certain set of time. And I just think that's really fascinating. And that's really thanks to Leigh Whannell and James Wan, who have actually become big movie directors and movie producers in this day and age. James Wan has done stuff like The Conjuring, like Insidious, Aquaman, Fast 7. Leigh Whannell did Upgrade, and of course The Invisible Man, which comes out next year. And this movie was a student project in the beginning. It was a movie that was a short. It was something that was put as a perspective to give to the studios to show them what they wanted to do. And with Greg Huffman, who owns Twisted Pictures, unfortunately did pass away, They created a movie about a character that has become a modern classical villain, a guy that has a legit reason for why he's doing it, whether it be disturbing or not. And on top of that, what's also crazy is the cast of this movie. It's a cast of people you would never expect to be in horror film. You know, we got Cary Elwes, Danny Glover, Ken Leung, Michael Emerson, Monica Potter. You know, these are people that have, you know, deep filmographies behind them. Michael Emerson, of course, became more famous with Lost, but it's really, really fascinating to see these characters play out in this story, which is a kind of, you wouldn't think it would be well put together, but just the fact that they had faith in what Leigh Whannell and, of course, James Wan were doing, but they turn into performances that are kind of iconic in the stuff they're doing. You know, Cary Elwes, who's known for stuff like Princess Bride, and of course, you know, Liar Liar and Twister. This is something that just is uniquely him. You know, he plays the guy who's like workaholic. He cheats on his wife, who's played by Monica Potter. And he is a guy that, you know, doesn't see his life for what it is, which is valuable. And then, of course, he gets put into this room, which is clever because the whole movie, pretty much outside of a few scenes, takes place in this, like, I don't know if it's like a shower room or bathroom or whatever, warehouse of some sort. And he is basically put in the room with Leigh Whannell. Leigh Whannell plays the other character in that bathroom. And what's really interesting is you have this story being played out about why they're in this room, who they are, why they're connected with each other. But you're seeing the past and how it leads up to that. So we get the character of Shawnee Smith, who actually plays out in the next two movies after this. And we get the Danny Glover and the Ken Leung character. And they are talking to, you know, Cary Elwes' character. And she's explaining how she escaped and how she has kind of refigured her life. And it's really cool. And it's just, you see the like iconic bear trap that is used. And it's just interesting to see how that story just interweaves into the current story that we're getting. How, you know, Ken Leung eventually gets killed by Jigsaw, and Danny Glover goes on a kind of vendetta quest to figure out who the killer is. He thinks it's, you know, Cary Elwes' character, but then he gets intertwined with Michael Emerson's character. And like, once again, like I'm saying, it's all about this time motion where everything is being sped forward and they have to do certain things at certain times, and, you know, they have to rescue him. And it's just like, it's so meticulous in its storytelling and how it plays out that you're just in awe when you're watching it. It's like some of the most mesmerizing stuff you can watch in a horror film, and it's smart in how it's doing it. You know, you're made to think that Michael Emerson is the Jigsaw killer when it's really Tobin Bell who is the mastermind behind all the Jigsaw stuff. But, you know, with that said, when the thing that really is clever about this movie in its whole is the idea that we're given pieces and parts and so on and so forth as they connect, as pieces go together. At the very beginning, there's something really clever that's a kind of a see it or you miss it type of thing. And it deals with the key that unlocks the chains of the two characters in the room. And what happens is you see this glowing object at the very beginning of the movie before Leigh Whannell's character wakes up. And the shiny thing gets sucked into the drain. Well, at the very end of the movie, after Cary Elwes is cut off his foot to go save his family, after all hope is lost, the dead body that sits in the middle of the room turns out to be Tobin Bell or John Kramer or Jigsaw, as he's known at this point. And he stands up and he explains that the thing you saw at the beginning of the movie was the key to help them escape. But because everything that has taken place, you know, with him lying there for God knows how long, just motionless and using like a little clicker to shock the two, we find out that basically Leigh Whannell's character has screwed himself, and, you know, it plays out through the rest of the other franchise movies. But it's such a clever setup and such a clever idea to have this little piece that you don't even really pay attention to be such a pivotal moment to the very end of the movie. And that is perfect storytelling. That's the way you tell a movie and tell a franchise and tell a story and do it really well. And that's what, like I said, 5 through 7 or 8 or whatever the other movies are missing, is the idea of this like small pieces that slowly piece together the story. You know, the tape recorders and the fact there's a camera and the fact that Michael Emerson's given a certain amount of time before he's gonna be, you know, has to save himself from being poisoned. It's just, you start seeing like how Jigsaw is so smart and outsmarting these people. Like I said, Tobin Bell really owns the role of John Kramer or Jigsaw or whatever you want to call it. Billy the doll that you see as his main icon is, you know, one of the most iconic pieces of horror in history. The fact that, you know, characters that you'll see in the beginning, the original franchise movie, see them in later parts of the franchise is kind of smart filmmaking. And it's just really cool. It's just a really interesting, fun horror film that does have some horrifying moments. This movie, because of how small it is, gives them the framework of what they're going to do later on. And like I said, when you go back to time, you know, the way the way the shots move and the way, you know, how fast paced it is, and you're seeing like freak outs and stuff like that. And the fact that they're using time like that, and you see the ticking clock. It's just, this movie is always keeping you on edge with time, with the ticking clock that eventually leads down to zero. When John Kramer says game over, closes the door, and you hear Leigh Whannell scream, goes to credits. So it's a really fascinating movie. It's a movie I did not expect to kind of have a deeper meaning than a horror film, but it does a lot with what it's, you know, what it's given. And then it's amazing that Leigh Whannell and James Wan pulled something that's a modern classic in today's day and age. So, but there you go. That's my take on Saw, the hopefully non-convoluted version of my take. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite Saw trap is. What is your favorite part about this movie? You know, I'd be interested to know. I will, like I said, have at least three more movies in the horror genre or Halloween drama coming up in the next few weeks. But I wanted to start with Saw. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button below to join Movie Emporium. Hit the notification bell at the top to find out what's next. And of course, comment below on any video that you watch. But otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these two videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.